Well, a good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Digest right here on Elevate TV. You can, of course, get in touch with us. It's a Monday Morning Digest, usually by Gigi, who is not around today. He's asked me to sit in for him, discussing matters, leadership, politics. And today it's pure politics. That's what we'll be discussing today. So karibu sana. My name is Ndiema. And today we get to engage on the issue of Mount Kenya politics, as well as emerging coalitions within Mount Kenya. It's been a very thorny issue, very interesting. And with me, I have, I think he's a politician. I have Ken Ngure. He's been here before. He's actually a national leader. Sorry, he's youth leader. He's a youth leader with the TSP.
Yes.
That's the Service Party.
Exactly.
But he's also a political analyst.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're in there, you have to understand what politics is all about.
Absolutely.
And you have to engage.
Yes.
So Ken, karibu, it's good to have you today
Asante sana.
as we just talk about this. I've had quite a bit of conversations before we got here, off camera, and it's very interesting. Yeah. Especially what is happening in Mount Kenya. But before we get into the details, I think I'll give you an opportunity to tell us a bit, a few more details about yourself.
I welcome our viewers. My name is Kenneth Ngure. I'm in the Service Party, in the Youth League, and we appreciate being here, and thank you for inviting and hosting me. Hope to have a fruitful discussion on the state of our politics, right. And specifically Mount Kenya. Not really, because what happens in Mount Kenya usually get replicated to other areas.
Right.
And it's like a precursor of the politics to come, and simply because the country is shifting its politics from individual strongman-based politics to what I call constitutional politics. We are moving towards more of constitutionalism.
Right.
Because looking back from where we were.
Just hold right
yes.
there. That's a very good place to begin. Yes. Remember, you can engage with us at Elevate TV Kenya on all our social media platforms. And as we do this, because this is a Christian channel, we keep emphasizing and encouraging you that even as you hear what's happening, you have a role. You have a role to play. First of all, to pray for our politicians to speak sense, but also very important to go and vote wisely.
Absolutely.
Because your vote counts.
It does. It does.
Anytime.
It does. Yes.
And we can never divorce the issues we face each and every day from our leadership.
Yeah.
Because it starts right there as it keeps trickling down. Yes, so our politics is changing. I think that's a very good place to begin.
Yes.
Yes.
What happened is that, and I will look at the change from a historical perspective.
All right.
Of 1992 therein, and the fight for multi-party democracy. We had the Constitution Section 2A amended to allow formation of other parties,
right,
by former President Mtukufu Rais Moi, a man who he's in his own league of politics. He was beyond a professor.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, he was very philosophical, and then we came to 2010. We had a new constitution.
Right.
It allowed a lot of diversities, and on Friday, from this same place and on Elevate TV, there was a host of legal scholars, led by Judge Charles Nyachai, Professor Pierre Lumumba, Dr. Duncan Najwang, and 5 other panelists. And what that has, the net effect of the Constitution on our politics is that people are beginning to get more enlightened and aware of the role of government in their lives, because government is formed by people and by politicians.
Right.
That's where you hear there's a difference between the state and the government. The state is the sovereignty of this nation, is who we are. As long as Kenya exists, As long as we are here, there will be a state called Kenya. There's a jurisdiction called Kenya that exists, but governments change. You had the Kenyatta one government, the Moi government, the Kibaki government, the Jubilee government of President Uhuru and his deputy, and we now need another government. So governments are formed by individuals who come together and articulate the agenda they want to do for the people.
Right.
And for these people to come together, there requires numbers.
Yes.
Numbers is the key thing.
Oh, it is.
It is the key thing. Well,
we've had a lot about numbers and politics.
Absolutely. Numbers is
across the world, right?
Yes, across the world. I mean, Trump left because his numbers were not enough.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, so for government to be formed through a political process, and a political process goes hand in hand with an electoral process. And if you listen to IBC leaders speaking, they always tell you about political process, electoral cycles. So now we are in what I would call the last lap of going to the next election, which is about 10
months or so.
10 months to go. It's around 43 weeks.
Wow.
And
time is running, eh?
Time is running. It's around 300 and around 30-something days. I can't remember the exact. For those of us in politics, we are keeping that.
You keep the dates.
The number of days.
Clearing.
You know,
because every day counts.
One day counts. And one day in politics, things can shift.
Yes.
From east to west.
Wow.
Then go to north, south, and come back to the center.
Wow.
Same day.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, so what you're saying, Kenneth, is that the politics where we were looking at kingpins.
Yes.
I mean, where it was central to specific people is changing. And Mount Kenya is shaping that.
Yes.
And the reason is, right now, with 300 and something days to go, there is no specific contender that the entire Mount Kenya is saying, this is our man. So what are they saying now?
Listening to the people and to the ground, and I'll give you with a very practical example of what happened yesterday.
Yes.
All presidential contenders, serious presidential contenders. Well, let me qualify using the word serious.
Serious, yes.
Because you always hear the horses are two and others.
Others, yes. There's a donkey somewhere and others as well.
Exactly. Deputy President was in Bahati, Nakuru.
Yes, right. That's a central region. Not central, but...
it's part of Mount Kenya.
Yes.
Nakuru is counted as part of Mount Kenya.
Right.
Together with Laikipia, though they are in Rift. ANC leader was in Ngure,
yes,
Kiambu County, in a church setup. ODM leader was in Murang'a, Kigumo constituency.
Right.
Jimmy Wanjigi was in Nyeri.
Did you just say Jimmy Wanjigi is also a serious?
Well,
he
represents the others in terms of, not biased, but
no, I hear you.
I was saying that because that is to show the UDA faction, the ANC faction, and the ODM faction.
Yes.
They were all represented in Mount Kenya. Right. So you had 4 people coming to scramble for the votes as per yesterday. And listening to each one of them talk, they were trying to articulate a blueprint of issues. Each one of them was trying to say what he would do for the mountain,
right,
and for the people of Mount Kenya, and the tone revolved around
issues:
agriculture, trade, youth unemployment,
right,
issues to do with drugs and substance abuse, and issues to do with mental health. So the four had come, and we will not dwell about the four of them, because Kenyans know them, and Christians know them, and people have perspectives and mindsets about them.
True.
But let us look, when the four came, what were they talking about?
Very
what
important.
were they talking about? Because when you hear a man speak, you must know the things that are coming out of him define him. A man is defined by his words and how he stands with them.
Right.
So that means there is a shift in the way Kenyans see and perceive things, that you not just come and tell us stories and rhetorics.
Right.
And you know, I like the ODM leader, because he's a one-seasoned guy in this. You can't dismiss him in Kenyan politics.
That's true.
But when he came, his tone was so different.
That's true.
His
This
tone,
time round.
This time round.
Yes.
First of all, he went to church.
And
He read 2 verses.
Yeah, Jeremiah 29:11.
And Psalms 133.
Yes, though he said Swahili Muhubiri. Muhubiri is
Yes.
Proverbs.
The thing is, he was in church.
That's true.
That is it. And after that, when he went for the public meeting, he spoke about that place where he was in is a highland where we grow a lot of tea and coffee, and he spoke about those issues.
Right.
Now, we will begin seeing more politicians coming to church. And because we're in a Christian setup, my advice to those who are in church and the church leaders is that let them come to church.
Okay.
But when they come to church, as the church leader, be bold in articulating the issues that Christians want to see done in this nation. That is purely the role of the church as we approach the next 10 months.
Right.
Prior to the 2010 Constitution, the church was very vocal on issues to do with abortion. The church was very vocal in issues to do with Sharia and Qadi and all those things in that Constitution. So it's the time for the church and the leaders who permit politicians to come. When they come, let them hear the truth. Let them hear the stand of the church regarding corruption. Let them hear the voice of the church regarding chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity. Let them hear the voice of the church regarding infrastructure of the area where that church is located. So that we, the church, are not just a platform for politicians to come and advance their agenda, but we are a ground of truth to them and to the powers that be.
I like that.
Yes.
And you know, that's a very interesting school of thought.
Yes.
Of course, there is a school of thought where they say, do not allow them to come. But we can never bury our heads in the sand and say, you know, we don't want associations.
Yes.
I like what was discussed in the conference about church and politics.
Yes.
And one of the leaders said, you know what? On the grassroots, make sure that you're pushing for an MCA who has a very clear agenda.
Yes.
And who knows God, who has a fear for God. On the national politics, at this point, it might be very hard to get, you know, that tongue, you know, a preacher.
Yes.
At this point.
At this point, yes.
But you have to align yourself to someone who has a fear of God. And it's very practical.
Kabisa.
So the moment you allow them, you engage them. And they need to be engaged thoroughly on issues that affect church. And that's a whole conversation
Kabisa.
altogether. Kenneth?
Yes.
So you're saying these guys who went to Central yesterday, they were talking about issues. And you've mentioned 5 of those issues.
Yeah.
Is this a precursor to what we will see, for example, when Honorable Raila Odinga retires in Nyanza, say Kalonzo Musyoka retires in Ukambani? Are we seeing a new revolution in terms of issues being discussed moving forward?
I agree with you because, one, the devolution, which came with the same constitution, has made people wake up and know, Haya, kumbe there's money for us.
Yes.
I mean, kumbe there are things that can be done for us. You move to a place like Wajir, they first saw a tarmac road when devolution came. So they realized, oh, kumbe there's money for us.
Yeah.
So now the people in Wajir, when you go to talk to them, they tell you, okay, we have listened to you, but can you commit first to build for us an airport?
Yes.
Do you know right now we have an airport in Wajir?
Imagine.
And it's one of the busiest airports. Reason being, all flights going to Somalia go through Wajir for a security check.
Right.
If you want to export your goods, it's through Wajir. The people in Wajir are largely pastoralists. So they export their meat through that airport. So you move to a place like Taita Taveta County. Before you go there, the people tell you, okay, you've come here, you want our votes, but can you commit to help us deal with issues of minerals? Because Taita Taveta has a lot of minerals.
That's true.
So this is a precursor. Whatever you're seeing in the mountain is a precursor of what will come. In the next few years, when you go to ask for votes in Nyanza, people will tell you, okay, our major resource is the lake. Can you commit the blue economy? What can you do for us? And I asked one of my friends a question. Fish from the lake has to be brought all the way to Thika for processing.
Why?
Why? I mean, there are factories there, but those factories don't have the capacity or the politics around that place. You cannot even operate your factory. You had things like Dominion Farms closing down. So that will happen in that place.
Right.
You come to Ukambani here. They also have their own issues. They have issues with the water, and they have very arable land.
That's true.
So when you come, they'll ask you, can you give us water so that we can give you our votes?
Right.
So it will be an issue-based transaction, which is a very good direction.
Right.
Rather than when, if I want the votes of Ukambani, I just call one of them and we do a deal.
And it's done.
And it's done, and they follow him. So there is a shift.
I like that.
And the shift you're seeing on the mountain has to be replicated across board. And what will happen is, it will be very hard in the next coming election for one political party to win majority seats in parliament. And that's where the national budget is made.
Wow. Wow. And is that a good thing for our nation?
Very good.
Okay.
So that if I'm calling Ndiema, who has a political party that has 20 MPs,
yes,
and I have 150,
yes,
and we only did 170,
yes,
so I have to talk to this person and his people.
True.
And do projects in their area,
yes,
so that they can agree to do a coalition with us, or to have a memorandum of understanding.
Right.
That would be very good. It will be easy for people to raise their own issues and to be respected because of who they are.
That's true. Let's come back to Mount Kenya.
Yes.
So here we are. I mean, yesterday was a very interesting day. Just seeing all these politicians going there. You know, it's a scramble of the Mount Kenya vote.
Yes.
Do you see, with the number of days remaining, do you see Mount Kenya fronting one candidate whom everyone will agree and say, this is our man? Is it possible?
Right now, not possible.
Okay.
Reason being, as per Friday, today is Monday, as per Friday we had 75 fully registered political parties in Kenya.
Wow.
From the office of the Registrar of Political Parties, or RPP. And out of the 75 fully registered, 35 of them are from Mount Kenya.
Ooh, that's
almost 50, close to half. And the others who are not fully registered, they are in the processes of interim registration and stuff. Yeah. So far, I know 3 people who have declared interest in vying for the presidency.
Yes.
And among the three, they are in the list of what I would call others. They don't have the political mettle as it is. However, they have a chance to start like Kibaki started. Kibaki did 3 elections, 92, 97, and won in 2002.
Wow.
It is difficult right now. However, in TSP, we believe and we are sure that the next leader and negotiator of Mount Kenya will be decided after the 2022 election, which will, the following day. And that will be the person who will be having the highest number of members of parliament.
Take that again.
Yes.
Just.
The next kingpin of Mount Kenya will be decided the day after the elections. And that is the person who will be having the highest number of members of parliament.
So, for example, very practical scenario.
Yes.
We have a deputy president.
Yes.
With UDA.
Yes.
We have Honorable Raila Odinga with ODM.
Yes.
We have ANC. Let's say, and Kalonzo Musyoka.
Yeah.
Let's say those ones become the front runners.
Yeah.
Yeah? Assumption.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that the smaller parties within central Kenya, whether they're in a coalition or not, the person who has the most number of members of parliament is most likely the next kingpin.
Yes, absolutely. That is the reality on the ground. And I like what the Dr. SKE of Royal Media said yesterday in the same church service. He told the congregants at the Bible Fellowship Church that don't lie to the former Prime Minister that he's popular on the ground. I'm quoting his words.
Yes.
Don't lie to him that the information on the ground is different.
Right.
And the former Prime Minister acknowledged that, and he said he knows the ground is slippery, but he's ready to start organizing himself.
Okay.
So what will happen is, these 4 front runners whom you have mentioned will have to come to Mount Kenya and make a coalition with the parties that are present there.
Right.
And and we said there are those 35 parties that are present there.
Right.
Our party is the front runner in that game.
All right.
And what will happen is, we as the people of that region, Mount Kenya, will sit down and articulate our issues. The issues we mentioned about our coffee, tea, pyrethrum, cotton, trade, ease of doing business, youth, mental health, TVETs. We will write them down. And that process is already ongoing.
Yeah.
In fact, we had 2 meetings. Tomorrow we have the 3rd meeting of writing down these issues.
Right.
And we'll have to inaugurate these issues in the next 3 months. Whoever of the top presidential contenders,
yes,
each one of them will be given those specific issues, and they will have to agree with us if we are to support them.
You know, that's a very interesting direction. Yes. But let me ask you, Kenneth, again, and this we might actually take it when we take the break. There are, of course, those other issues that are underlying. So Raila Odinga comes, you say these are issues.
Yes.
Ruto comes, you say these are issues. Mudavadi comes, says these are issues. But beyond the issues, there is the aspect of, political culture that has been there previously. And like one of them I've had been quoted here and there, that it will be a hard sell for Raila Odinga in central Kenya. Yeah? I mean, it was mentioned yesterday.
Yes.
As you present the issues, does that affect, is it already, are you coming in already disadvantaged in that conversation? Or once you say, I will deal it with this way, Central now follows you?
Well, first of all, in terms of history, does not favor the ODM leader in Mount Kenya. And it has to do with issues of the early years of a government between his father and Jomo Kenyatta, and the political propaganda churned to the people of Mount Kenya against him as a person and against his candidature all the time. However, with what can happen is that he has been getting some few votes in Mount Kenya. It's not that he has been getting 0 votes. Like Murang'a County last time he had 10,000.
Yes.
What might happen is that he might get an extra few votes. Maybe 5,000 to make it 15. I'm giving him a plus 50%. He might have an improvement in his numbers, but that does not translate into full support. Quoting him, he has said that he's now had a donkey to help him conquer the mountain. and you know he's very humorous.
I mean, he has a way of
packaging messages, and even if you don't like him, you have to laugh about it.
Right.
The last time he told us he was going to Canaan, and we all laughed because he's a reformer. He knows how to reform. So what will happen is that there might be an increase of the number of votes, presidential votes towards him, because of a slight shift in his strategy.
Question, and let's take this break, but as we come back, let's tackle this. Does President Uhuru's endorsement, does it give him more mileage? Or is it just the president speaking to himself? We'll be answering that question when we come back. That's right here. So keep engaging with us. You can go to our social media handles. You can also, there's a number right there in your screen. On your screen, you can text us. If you have any question, any comment, the opportunity is yours right now. This is Elevate TV.
There is no town, there is no city, there is no nation without fathers.
They went before us and set the stage of what we see in the gospel today.
It's immediately when I got saved.
Wow.
The Lord placed in my heart passion for souls.
They fought the battles and prepared the way.
They were told this miracle worker is here from Kenya. He has troubled so many churches in Kenya. Troubled. Be careful. Others said he's a false prophet, but the sick did not listen to that. They needed it.
What did they do that we are not doing?
We believed the word of God that it is true. I believe the word of God that by his stripes I was healed.
Do not fear, for you will not be ashamed.
The gospel then and the gospel now.
God says, do not be dismayed.
We didn't have the technical gospel that we have today. If you believe, bow your head, raise your hand, come forward. No. No. People just stood up and began to repent by themselves.
Wow.
Others crying on the floor, saying, save me, save me, save me.
Oh, Jesus.
Dressing the mantles.
right, welcome back to the Morning Digest right here on Elevate TV. Sitting in for Gigi, who also does the Gigi report, is not in today. We are talking about Mount Kenya politics and the coalitions that are aligning towards that kind of politics. It's a very different story this time around compared to what happened, you know, previously. Last time it was Uhuru Ito, and they went with President Uhuru Kenyatta. Before that, it was Mwai Kibaki, and it was a strong, you know, a strong support for one candidate. Yeah. But the issues are changing, and you know, my guest Kenneth Ngure, who's also a youth leader with TSP, says it will be very hard this time around to have one person, you know, a leader from Mount Kenya whom everyone is supporting and saying this is our person. Yesterday, and just looking at the papers, pre-election pledges, with Bible in hand, ODM leader Raila Odinga declares he's open to dialogue in defining the best contest partnership for Mount Kenya region, igniting speculation that he may be considering picking a running mate from the area. Before we talk about the running mate and the advantages that it comes with, or the disadvantages. So President Uhuru Kenyatta had the handshake. Yeah. And after that, he's been subtly endorsing ODM leader Raila Odinga. And when he met the Oka leaders and said, support this guy, himself said, don't worry about Central. I will deliver Central to you. Does Raila Odinga have an advantage? And what percentage is that advantage coming to Central because President Uhuru Kenyatta is behind him and saying, go?
And what happened later after that? Yes. The former Prime Minister said that he doesn't need an endorsement. Yes. Those are subtles of politics. And that's true. President Uhuru Kenyatta, from where he sits, if he puts his hand on you to endorse you, you will bear the project tag. And that's what made him lose in 2002. Because he was seen as a project of President Moi. The longer you stay in politics, the more people get tired with you in terms of ratings. And every president who's going out suffers very poor ratings. And you can even look at President Obama when he was about to leave office in 2012, I think.
Yes.
To usher in, 2016,
yes.
To usher in President Donald Trump. Right. And he's faced a lot of criticism, a lot of disapproval, and every move you make as an outgoing president is interpreted in very, it's microscoped and interpreted in very diverse ways. That's true. And that's why President Mwai Kibaki opted to keep quiet. People never knew why Kibaki kept quiet, and he seemed like he was in a back. But he was behind the scenes helping the president, the current president, ascend through through strategies like endorsing President Uhuru to the mountain through Mishuki. Right. It's Mishuki who stood at the Ihora Stadium and said, whoever wants the votes of the mountain, let him follow President Uhuru. So him as a president, the presidency ought to be a unifying factor and a symbol of unity, that if all those seeking to succeed him fight, they can find solace in a father who is the president. But when you look like you're meddling with your own succession, it's like a father who favors some children to take over his wealth and disregards the others. Wow. That has made the people of the mountain perceive him differently from the Uhuru they perceived in 2013 and 2017, because of seemingly like having a hand in his own succession. Sometimes you give all the players an equal platform to see who proves his mettle. So the issue of trying. There's another factor coming in. So apart from the factor of the project,
Yes.
is the
So,
fact
so you're saying the project
Tag.
can be
Yes.
a disadvantage.
it will be a disadvantage to the ODM because of the handshake. It will be an advantage to OCA because they will look like they can't work it out for themselves. They have to be pushed. ODM and OCA have one challenge also
Right.
of playing what I would call a catch-up game with Deputy President William Ruto. He came to the mountain before them. He articulated his agenda. He sold his policy and narrative. So whatever these two, ODM and OCA, are doing now is what he did in 2015. They are
2015 is a
6
while back.
years behind. They're trying to play a catch-up game. You cannot cover same ground within the remaining time, considering you have to go to other parts of the nation
Right,
and
to
also
still
bring
sell
in
the agenda.
sell agenda.
Yeah.
The other thing that works against ODM and OCA is the issue of they haven't been able to really package their message very well and sell it on
Right.
time.
Yeah. But
Because
do Kenyans work with the message or the people? Or it's shifting?
Kenyans work with a message when it's packaged in the form of a narrative.
And when
Like-
it's euphoric.
And when it's euphoric, yes.
Yeah.
So the two groups don't seem to have captured the euphoria very well. They are like jump-starting their game now.
Right. And that's very true, because if you think about Deputy President, what comes to your mind is hustler, bottom
Bottom up, mtu wa chini. You know, he has
Yeah,
packaged
yeah.
his narrative that way. So
Yeah,
it
it's
takes
not
time.
very clear.
It's
for the
not very
others.
clear.
Yeah.
And when now you try to listen to them, even their approach to issues. For example, if you look at yesterday when former Prime Minister came to Moranga, most local leaders did not appear.
Yeah, I saw that.
They gave the meeting a wide berth. They were just accountable. And I know them because that's my home place. I can tell you the most prominent figure was the local MP.
Right.
I mean, who could not miss because it's an event in her own constituency.
Yes.
So the rest gave it a wide berth. Why? Because they knew the moment you are seen with him,
Your project.
the
Or you're
moment you are seen
endorsing.
with him,
Yes.
forget being voted again.
Really? It's that bad,
it's
eh?
that
Politics.
It's that bad. I mean, it has all to do with association
Yeah.
and with message. So it will require these two teams, ODM and OKA,
Yeah.
to do a lot of work.
Right.
And that's why the DP seems to be a few miles ahead. He even has gathered a few economists, professors, people in respectable fields, and they have tried to work with him
On something.
on something like this bottom up.
Right.
Whether you like it or you don't like it, he has gathered a team.
Yeah.
You
And
can't
there's,
see that.
there's progress.
There's a bit of progress.
Yeah.
You can't, and it's a team of professionals. You can't compare that with this other side. So that's why he seems to be several steps ahead. And on the other hand, the governor of Kitui County,
Right.
a very seasoned politician again.
Yeah.
She's even vied for presidency.
That's true.
In a meeting in Ukambani, I think in a burial ceremony or something,
Yeah.
told the former NASA leaders that if they don't unite,
Yeah.
they will be beaten hands down. And you know that somebody who has vied for president has that experience
Right.
and ability to do mathematics and listen to the ground and tell you things are going like this.
Right.
However,
Yeah.
as it is of now, with these four leaders we mentioned, you have the deputy president, former prime minister, ANC leader, and Wiper leader,
Right.
and the rest, like, I think this time around the presidential ballot, people will have around 10 people.
Yes.
If we go that way, we are highly likely to go for a runoff.
So there's a very high chance of a runoff.
As we speak now,
Yeah,
the chances of a runoff
are very high.
are very high.
And we've asked this question again and again, just a bit away from Mount Kenya.
Yes.
Is there a possibility of Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi forming a team, a coalition?
Well, they have been in NASA together.
Yeah.
There is a possibility because of numbers on the table.
Of BBI.
And thinking of
quite
BBI.
It was quite
yes, it was quite a bait for them because
yes.
if it would have succeeded,
it would have been probably easier.
It would have been probably easier because of the 5, each one would have been assured of a place.
Right.
But now it didn't succeed at the Court of Appeal, and we are looking at the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
They might form another coalition, but the challenge is them being able now to trust each other first of all.
Right.
A question that has been asked in Ukambani. Kalonzo Musyoka is being asked by his followers. You told us to follow Raila and ODM in 2013.
Yeah.
We failed. You told us to follow him in 2017. We failed. We have been, the Ukambani electorate are saying they have been 10 years outside government.
Wow.
How can they trust the same person again this time around?
Yeah. How do we see a different result if we're doing the same thing?
The same thing, exactly. Yeah. So the Wiper leader is facing a lot
pressure.
of pressure from his own ground.
Yeah.
Up until he's lost Ukambani to Ngilu, who is in NAC. Machakos to Mutua, who is in Maendeleo Chap. The governor of Taita Taveta has shifted from Wiper to ODM. Granton Saboja, your colleague in the 4th estate.
Right.
So, and Mombasa shifted long in the last election.
Hassan Omar, yes.
Hassan Omar shifted. So there is a lot of pressure for him to be in a winning team.
Right.
The Western Kenya bloc, the same again. There's a lot of fractures and friction to the ANC leader and the Ford Kenya leader.
Yeah.
Will they stay in the cold again? So all these factors kept together are bringing in a lot of pressure and mistrust to them. And the deputy president has been on record dismissing them as a coalition of people seeking for themselves rather than having issues.
Right.
So there'll be a lot of, they can come together, but there'll be a lot of issues amongst them.
Yeah, those are very technical issues.
Very technical, because you see, it's not just them coming together and winning, because after they win and they still have issues, how will they live with each other?
Yeah, resolve those issues.
How will they resolve those issues?
Run a nation.
And run a nation.
That's very true.
Because they could not agree on how to share the political parties' fund, which was given to them, which was 588 million.
Yes.
What will happen now when you entrust them with a trillion?
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, our budget hits up to 3 trillion.
That's right.
So
and I think it's a huge headache to them.
It's a huge headache to them, yes.
Yeah. Jimmy Wanjigi.
Yes.
He's one of the guys who stood up, and just as late as yesterday, he's spoken very boldly about DP. He's spoken about Raila Odinga and saying all these guys who are old guards have nothing new to give us. Yet, he wants to be the front runner through ODM. I saw someone yesterday saying, now it's very clear that Raila Odinga has a running mate. And the running mate is going to be Jimmy Wanjigi because of the twist of the narrative he was putting yesterday. What can you say out from that conversation?
Well,
Jimmy Wanjigi entirely.
he's been in ODM in the backside, funding ODM, and being a major financier and a friend of Raila Odinga. He's been part of the ODM team, I think, after 2013 going forward. My take is this. First of all, this is somebody who's shifted from the business world into politics.
Right.
He does not have the capacity to pull off a Trump card. You know Donald Trump?
Yes.
The man who'd never been in politics,
Yes.
shifts from the business world
Yeah.
and comes, boom.
And the dynamics are different.
And the
also
dynamics are
in
different.
The US, right.
First of all, he first needs to build a name for himself because people don't really know or identify with him
As a politician.
as a politician.
Right.
So he has a lot of groundwork to do. Secondly, he looks like he's put there by the ODM brigade to divide the votes of the mountain. That's how, analyzing him from a political point of view, it's like he's coming to divide a vote. So my take on him is that he needs to have somewhere he starts. If he's really thinking of winning the presidency, he needs to have a starting point.
Yeah.
That he enters politics through a certain area, like an MP, a governor, or a senator, builds a name for him to qualify to be a presidential force or a contender. If, let's say, former prime minister picks up him as a running mate, what numbers are behind Wanjigi?
Right.
Would Raila Odinga pick him who has no numbers, or would Raila Odinga pick Kalonzo who has 2 million Ukambani votes behind him? Those are very complicated mathematics for the former prime minister to make. Several people have been mentioned around Raila Odinga. There's Wanjigi, there is Kirinyaga governor,
Yes,
Madam Waiguru, there is CS Trade, Peter Munya, and so many other people who've mentioned in that team. And the question is, what can they bring to the ODM leader in terms of numbers?
And from central.
Yeah,
because that's very key.
That's very key.
Then what happens to coast? What happens to western?
Exactly.
What happens to eastern Kenya? And many other places.
And how will the ODM leader convince others that Wanjigi is better than them?
So this BBI thing, as much as we are running away from it, it was very critical.
For politicians. For politicians, it was very critical.
Because you say cost, I will give you this heavy one.
Yes, I'll give you. Yeah, like the governor of Mombasa.
It's very unfortunate for the nation.
Yeah.
It's very unfortunate, because it's really just sharing slots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like the governor for Mombasa has been silent for the last 1 month.
That's true.
Because he had seen the deputy prime minister position. He had seen it. and you know, that's on the newspaper today.
Yeah.
And his spokesman, his chief of staff responded to that.
Yes.
So, and not just him, 21 governors who are serving their second term now are in a lot of dilemma. About those slots, because they would have gone for MP seats, and being an MP, you could be elected into the Senate. You could be appointed into the Senate, or into the cabinet.
Yeah.
So those are the intricacies that are working around. However, and this is the lifeline, the law allows coalitions and mergers to be done 90 days before a general election.
Wow.
So we are looking at the 9th of August. So coming 90 days before is 9th of May 2022. We are in September already. Say so. So we have about 8 months.
Yeah.
8 months. So as we go on in the 8 months coming up, we'll see a lot of pressure realignments,
Right.
push and pull. I mean, whatever will happen in the next 8 months will be so critical, and by the time we are going to hit March, April, May there,
Yes,
we will be able to sieve out who is going for what seat.
that's right.
However, my advice to Wanjigi is that let him come even here in Nairobi, try go for governor. I mean, it's an open slot as per now. Let's see let's give your credentials. I mean, through it.
That's true. But you see, like yesterday, he really, in one of the TV channels, he really articulated issues.
Yes.
Does that mean that we still, as a people, we still are very challenged with the, the name, the political lineage you've had and, history you've had? It's still an issue, right?
Yeah, it's still an issue. You can't dismiss that. Kenyans look at it.
Right.
You can't dismiss it. But now people are able to look at and say, this person was a member of parliament, he performed well, he can now be a senator.
Right.
He performed, and that's why you're seeing in the last parliament, you saw very many senators going for gubernatorial seats.
Yeah, right.
People like Professor Anyang' Nyong'o, Tharaka Nithi governor, and many others. Kiraitu Murungi was in the Senate, he went for governor, because what they had done in the previous assignment was put on the table, and they qualified.
That's true.
What is going to happen also, Ndiema, is that in the next few months also, we will also expect many government workers to resign by 9th of February.
Right.
In the next 5 months.
Wow.
9th of February. It's not 5 months, it's 4 months and a few,
yes.
and 2
running.
weeks.
Yeah.
To resign to go and seek elective positions. Out of a cabinet of, I think, 24, 14 of them are looking for political positions.
Wow.
They have to resign by February 9th. That's a huge game changer. Huge game changer. All these guys, you hear their names mentioned. We don't have time to go that, but they are 14. So what will happen now is that the political climate will be very saturated, especially at the grassroots.
Right.
The people who are in parliament now also will have to go back home and try to win their electorate
again. Yes.
And Kenya has a culture of 80% of people in parliament are never re-elected.
Yeah.
They go home.
One term.
Out. Songa ukienda. I mean,
that's true.
So that will complicate the mathematics a lot.
Right.
Positions like members of parliament, senate, governor, women rep, will be, and even MCAs, because some people will have to cascade down.
Right.
Will be so heated up.
Yeah.
And the whole electoral process will be so hot. Up until now, very few will be left to be able to withstand the pressure at the national game, national politics.
That's very true.
And that's when now you'll be able to pick, this one can be a good running mate,
Yeah.
this one cannot,
I get
this
you.
one cannot.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. I wish we had time. We'll also have spoken a bit about deputy president and running mate and coalitions. In just a minute, what do you foresee the deputy president, who do you foresee being picked as a running mate?
Well,
and what's the advantage of that?
Speaking about the deputy president, I would tell you one of the things that's happening is that unknowingly, the things being done to him are slowly radicalizing his political base. And I can tell you, the moment the push comes to shove, his political base will come out 100% voter turnout in Rift Valley. So all these things being done to him, the net effect is 100% voter turnout.
Because of the sympathy that comes with
yes,
that.
I mean
radicalization.
Radicalization.
Yeah.
Looking at Mount Kenya and other regions, the deputy president has a range of options in terms of selecting his running mate.
Yeah.
However, there are things that he will look for. One, somebody who can't oppose him, of course.
Yeah.
Somebody whom they agree on ideology.
Right.
They might differ on other things, but they agree on ideology.
Yeah.
We in TSP agree with him on two major areas, agriculture and trade.
Right.
Number two, he will look for somebody who is dependable, somebody who is consistent in terms of his politics.
Right.
And somebody who has longevity and ability to negotiate. You don't need a hardliner. You need somebody you can sit down, hey, we have two differences, but can we talk it out?
And I'm sure he's learned a few lessons.
Absolutely. and he has been on record saying he would not allow his deputy to suffer like he has suffered. Himself has been on record on that. Another thing he will have to look at is to look at the composition of the cabinet and see, does he distribute cabinet positions and use the deputy to bring in another region? So there are options here. It is a matrix. However, you have to also look at the person you are picking in. What numbers are that person bringing in?
So ideally, from what I'm getting, getting a deputy president from a running mate from Central comes with an advantage.
Yes.
It does.
It does.
As we finish, do you foresee anyone who will be a presidential candidate getting a 50+1 in the next general election?
If we go the issue of the four horses, everyone on the ballot, there will be no 50+1.
All right.
In the last poll, Deputy President was leading with 49%.
Yeah.
There's a highly likelihood for a runoff.
Yes.
A runoff will be between number one and number two.
Different dynamics.
Different dynamics. When you go for a runoff between number one and number two, what happens is that number 3 and 4 and 5 or whichever side go to one side.
Yes, either one or two.
Either one or two. And that side where they go to wins.
That's true.
So as it stands as of now, Deputy President is ahead, but on the right hand, there's a chance for a likelihood, for a runoff. There's a likelihood for a runoff. And what we have done ourselves as a party is that we have positioned ourselves in terms of garnering numbers and in terms of having very solid candidates, mature, responsible, and people who of tested character. And we said our foundation is Christian. So we have looked at people who are able to advance that agenda and are able to push forward the agenda of agriculture and trade from all the counties in this country. Yes.
Great. I think that's a good place to begin. I think next time we want to have a conversation between your people and someone else from the other brigade.
Absolutely.
I think it will be a very rich conversation.
We're looking forward.
So, Gigi, I think let's do that as we take it to the next level. Thank you so much, Kenneth, for just sharing light about Mount Kenya politics and what coalitions we are looking at in the next number of months. And I like you've broken it down, the February and the May dates, critical.
Yes.
Even for those who are willing or are desiring to vie for politics. So thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure being with you. We engage again next Monday. I'm sure Gigi will be here as we get to know more about leadership and politics. Keep praying. I mean, if you're vying, articulate your issues very well, and they need to be sober. And when it comes to the time to vote, go vote wisely. Have a blessed day, and thank you for joining us right here.